What's going on? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about a very important topic in espresso, that is channeling. I'm going to talk about channeling today. So some of you have some doubts exactly what is channeling, and is channeling a disaster in making espresso, or is it something that we can ignore? What will happen if channeling happens? How is it going to affect the taste of espresso? And how can we fix the channeling issue? So that's what we are going to talk about today's video. So I got my tulip back again in this video. If you watch my previous video, you might have seen the same guy. It's still strong and blooming. I really enjoy this. Anyway, let's get back to the topic. What is channeling? Now, here is the portafilter. When you press the extract button, what happens? The hot water will flow into the portafilter, and as it flows down, the hot water will look for less dense area. That's science. So it looks for the area where there is less resistance in the puck, and the water is going to flow through that area. So what happens? You won't get an even extraction. Let me show you clearly. Now, let me explain. As soon as you press the extract button on the machine, the hot water will flow down into the portafilter and come out through the other side. Now, the hot water, it always looks for less resistance. So it looks for less dense area in your puck. Now, what happens when you tamp your beans in an angle, let's say like this angle? Now what happens is this area has less grinds compared to the other area. So the hot water will tend to flow to the area where there is less grinds. That's science. So it finds a channel towards the less dense area, and it will make a channel that side. So you'll see the espresso flowing towards the right of the portafilter, and the other side may be dry or maybe a bit dripping here and there, but you will see the flow from the right side. So this dense area becomes over extracted, and the more dense area becomes under extracted because the water hardly flows through that area. Now, how does the over extracted coffee taste like? It will be bitter. It feels dry in your mouth. Now, how does the under extracted coffee taste like, which comes from the other side? It will be sour, and it will lack sweetness and lacks crema. Now, question, why are you getting channeling? Let me show you 4 or 5 reasons why you're getting channeling. Now, let me demonstrate that. I'm going to take some coffee beans into my portafilter. Now, this is what I just dosed, and this is not 18 grams for sure because I stopped in between. So this may be close to 17 grams. So not enough beans. I'm just showing you an example. Now, what will happen if I distribute it or tamp it? So this tool should fix most of the issue, but still I'm going to show you what will happen. Let's see. Now I'm going to level this. Now, physically, anyone would say this is distributed well, and now I can tamp it using the other side or using the Breville tamper. Now, let's have a closer look at it. Did you see any issue here? Have a look here in this corner. At least this portion is visible before I pull the shot. Now, sometimes it may be fully covered and you may not see this crack. This happens when there is not enough grinds in your basket. Now, what happens when I press the extract button? As soon as the water hits the grind, it will channel through this area here because this is less dense. And after extracting, you will see this big hole. This hole will become bigger because the water went through that. Now I'm going to show you another shot that I pulled a few days ago. When I looked physically, it was all filled. There was no dip like this or crack like this before extraction, but have a look what happened after extraction. Now, how do I fix this issue? Make sure you buy a scale and always be consistent in dosing the espresso beans. I usually dispense between 18 to 19 grams, so be consistent in that, and this will avoid not enough grinds in your basket. Now, next reason for channeling is channeling at the edge. Now, this is an issue that we may not be able to sort it out because this is a design fault. Let me show you. So let me dispense 18 grams here. Okay, let's have a closer look. Now this is what I just got from the grinder. Now I'm going to use the Breville tamper, and let's tamp it and see, then I'll explain what will happen. So normally you go this way and then press it down till you don't see that silver line. Now I'm going to take it out slowly. Now have a closer look here. Now if you see the side here, now if you look at the side here, right in this area here around, you see it's not tamped here. Now this area around the portafilter, it's not tamped properly with your Breville tamper. Now that's why I said this is a design issue. Now this is a very common thing you might have seen. The grinds usually at the edge, it's not tamped properly. Now what do people normally do? Either they use their finger to brush it around and put it back into the middle and tamp it again. So what happens again? What happens to that ring? Imagine the ring around the portafilter. What happens to the grind there? That is still loose. That is not tamped. Only the area in the middle where the tamper went straight down, that's the area where it's tamped properly. So as soon as the water hits the portafilter here, it's going to go around the edge first. So that's why you see in most of the extraction, if you use the bottomless portafilter, I have one here. Now if you look at the bottomless portafilter, you might have seen in many of the extraction that the water, the espresso will come out through the edge around like a ring first, and then you see it's flowing to the middle. Now, how do we fix that issue? It's really hard to fix that issue. Now, I would suggest to get a better tamper. Some of the tamper will fill the portafilter fully. Now, if you look closely, there's a gap. Even though it's hitting the other edge, there is still a gap. There's a play around. So, get a tamper which will fill this 54 mm portafilter, or get a distributor tool, a 2-in-1 tamper which is 53.3. that's what I heard. I know the Crema brand is 53.3. that's what I heard. So that will almost fill the whole area. So use a tighter one and that should help. Now let me explain the next cause of channeling. Let's use the same portafilter and the grinds here. Now, how do we fix the grinds that are sticky onto the side? What people normally do is they just tap the portafilter with something on the side, or hit it hard with the hand. Now what happens when you hit it really hard with something really hard, what happens is there will be a crack that will form around the portafilter and even inside the puck. You may not notice it, so that can produce easy channeling. So never hit your portafilter after tamping. Important. Before tamping, you can tap it on the kitchen countertop or on the side, or hit it with something hard, no issue. But after you have tamped it, never hit the portafilter or hit with something on it. That can produce crack and channeling. So the next reason is very common, that is uneven tamping, which is a very common mistake, including me. Everyone does that. So I'm going to dispense the beans and then I'll show you practically. I'm going to use my bottomless portafilter here so that you can see the extraction clearly. Okay, let's have a closer look. Now this is how it looks like. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Breville tamper. I'm going to purposely tamp it in a wrong angle, that is angling towards here. So let me try to do that. Let me take out the excess grinds. Now if you look, this is more tamped to the left than the right, even though I can barely see the silver line. So in theory it has less grinds here compared to the right side. Anyway, let's pull a shot and see what happens. I'm going to clean up the excess grind on the side, and then try to polish it a bit. So let's pull a shot. So I'm going to use my shot glass and let's have a closer look. I'll get a lower angle so that you can see it clearly. This angle is better and my shot glass is ready, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to replicate channeling. Now I'm expecting a lot of spurts and channeling in this shot. Let's see if I'll be able to replicate. So I'm going to switch on the double cup. Oops, that was a disaster. Now you see that it was channeling to the right towards the end, and it first started on the left side, and look at the mess it created. There were a lot of spurts because of bad leveling and tamping. That's really bad. Now the shot looks okay, I guess, but it may taste not that good. So let me taste it anyway. I'm very curious. So let me taste this messy shot. Okay, it's a mixed taste. It's not bad. I wouldn't say it's disaster taste wise. It's more a mixture of sourness and bitterness, and I could taste the flavors also a bit. Now this is not a good shot in espresso terms, so this is what happens, and this is the mess that can happen if you don't tamp it properly and distribute it properly. So this is tasting more sour and bitter, because first you get the sour taste, and then afterwards you get that bitter taste, that dryness in your mouth. Anyway, you got the idea. So how do we fix the channeling issue? Now I'm curious to check the puck as well. Look at that heavy channeling that happened towards the right, and it made a hole there, and the water obviously tried to escape towards the left side. So that's an uneven puck. See, it's not level properly here, so that's what happens. Now let's discard this. See, it's not coming out. This is how you find out another way to find out whether there was channeling. The puck won't come out that easy, and if you look towards the right, you can see it's more darker. That means it burned the puck that side, because there was more hot water flowing that way, and the puck won't come out that easy. I left it on the group head for a minute or two. Still, this is what happens. Okay, you have to hit it really hard. Now my pressure is showing at 1 o'clock range. And obviously I see some channeling to the left front. If you notice the other side, it's not coming out properly. I didn't realize that it gets dark so quickly. Anyway, it's winter time. By the time I finished showing all the channeling reasons, it was dark, so I had to switch on my lights and all. Anyway, how do we avoid channeling? So I made a latte out of the first cup. So I'm enjoying it. So how do we avoid channeling? Very simple. First thing is, I highly recommend you to buy a scale, a gram scale, something like this, so that you are consistent in the dose amount. Always take 18 grams, 17 to 19 grams, it can vary, but whatever you decide, stick on to that every day so that you get consistent shot. Usually I dose 18 grams, and if I'm using the Bottomless Portafilter, which has a bigger basket, then I use 20 or 21 grams. So stick on to that so that you get a consistent dose amount. Now the next thing is, after dosing, always use the vase method. Now that's the best method because it can break all the clumps and all the big chunks, whatever you see, and you can distribute around the portafilter nicely. So if you don't have a tool, you can use a toothpick. This is a lobster pick that I'm using. So you could use anything like this, or hold two toothpicks together and then you can fluff up the beans and break all the clumps. So that will sort the other issue. Now the other important thing is you to invest on a 2-in-1 tamper, or at least the distributor tool. I've done a whole video about this, the benefit of this, so have a look at that. Now if you have a distributor tool like this, this will ensure that the beans are distributed around the portafilter, and that will avoid channeling. Also, the other side, in this case, it has a tamper. Now this will ensure that it hits the ridge here always around the portafilter. Now you don't have a control on the Breville's tamper because you can keep on pressing down, it keeps going. Also, it's possible to do an uneven tamping on the Breville because you may accidentally press towards the right more, so that can produce uneven grinds, so that can cause channeling. So if you invest on something like this, it will ensure that it always hit the ridge around the portafilter. Now the last thing is about the naked portafilter or bottomless portafilter. Invest on this. Now this is not just to watch how the extraction happens, but this will give you an idea about channeling. Now you need to see how you extract, but you can do that only using the bottomless portafilter, or else you won't be able to see using the Breville's portafilter. So that's the difference. And then you can see the channeling, the spurts, all those issues. So you will be able to fix those issues if you invest on a bottomless portafilter. So if you have all these tools and accessories, and if you are serious about making good espresso, invest on this and you will be able to make better espresso without channeling. I hope you guys enjoyed this video today, and if you do, please hit that like button. And if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing to my channel because I'll be posting more videos about coffee, espresso, and Breville Barista Express. So stay tuned guys. See you guys on the next video. Bye for now.